Welcome to another episode of the LOC Roundtable. I'm your host, Clint, and today I'm joined by two of my good friends, Josh Lawrence out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. How are you, Josh?
Doing well, brother. Thanks for having me.
And Melanie Fisher out of Sacramento, California.
Hello.
Guys, thank you for joining me. We have some really, just like an endless amount of topics to talk about right now. There's just so much news on the daily, with QAnon out there. It's like every couple of days we have like just bucket loads of information to sift through about what's going on behind the scenes. And one of the major players in this whole story over the last decade really is Julian Assange and his work with Wikileaks. And he quite possibly is the most recognized hero in this fight to end the darkness on this planet. But his status is always in flux, and there's always rumors that there's rumors right now that he's being moved from the Ecuadorian-embassy. And where is he going? And there's rumors that even that Trump is going to drop the charges against him and bring him here to the United States. He just recently became a citizen of Ecuador. I mean, so there's something happening now that he's going to be moving. It seems like he's going to be leaving London. And obviously, the problem is he still has charges out for him in England. And as soon as he leaves, the police have been told to arrest him. So I'll throw it out to you. We'll start with you, Josh. What do you think is going on with his status, and do you believe that there's some movement from the Trump side to get him free?
Absolutely, I believe there's movement from the Trump side to free Julian Assange. I believe he's gonna bring him back here and pardon him, and either make him a part of the administration. We already know that WikiLeaks has been labeled as a news organization officially, so once this is all said and done, there's going to be a lot of news networks that won't exist anymore, period. And I believe that WikiLeaks is going to jump on as another major news network, and we'll see a lot more. We all actually have opportunity at this time to make a name for ourselves in that category, and news in the future is going to look totally different. So I definitely believe he's going to get moved here. And if he hasn't already been moved, no matter what, there's going to be distractions made, things happen, moves between now and then that are going to make that possible, whether they send in special forces to go pull him out or something crazy, I'm sure will happen.
Yeah, Melanie, what do you he's pretty much the most sought after guy from the cabal side of things. It seems like if they could just put a bullet through one guy's head, it'd probably be him. So, I wondered, do you think that Melanie, he can really come out in the open? Is he ready to be like a full free man, given where we're at in this fight against the cabal?
I just think there's so much we don't know. A big part of me wants to think he's already in the United States, or maybe that had something to do with the shutdown in Atlanta, and that, we're just doing this full sweep and amazing things are happening. But then the part of me that was like a massive Bernie supporter that knew what they can do to people, how they can take a brand and a movement and just like crush it and like turn it into something it's not, or ignore it. I feel a little caution about getting too excited about WikiLeaks, because I do think they are aware of the power of that brand, and looking at Julian Assange as a brand, and how I know how hard they work to co-opt people and brands. So a huge part of me wants to believe that it's going to be the news network of the future, and that it's based on truth. And if we can inject some consciousness, we can have like a platform where people can have access to real, or at least our best assessments of real information. But I think I'm leaning towards like something really big and something really good is happening. I think it was the State Department that tweeted something about Iran and how they should be able to have free speech. And I know Julian retweeted that, and so I was like, okay, there's definitely a shift that's happening where it's like there's momentum toward like, hey, getting the truth out to the people and respecting and actually honoring real free speech. But I would just say move forward with caution, and we should still question everything he tweets and says, and consider the possibility that it might not be Julian, or it might be him, but maybe he's compromised somehow. So I'm 80% excited, though, about him and WikiLeaks.
Josh, do you think Julian holds the last nail in the coffin of the cabal in terms of a massive leak that's going to finally just break the dam on this?
I believe that he's holding what many people are holding. He's not the only one. He's just in a position at this point to be protected. We are going to find out exactly how many people have been sitting on the fence for decades, if not longer. People will start opening up with what they have once they see something sure happening, because you're right, we're infiltrated with so much misinformation, and it's hard to have a good idea what's going on collectively and to connect those dots. I'm glad that I've been doing this 20 years and paying attention and been involved in politics and had a lot of amazing friends in a lot of amazing places. So I've been able to see things that a lot of people just don't get to see. But it definitely takes that to really connect all these dots. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't understand the criminal history of those that have been in charge for the last, 50 plus years. This country's been a de facto government for over 100 years. And unless you're willing to dig deep and learn and research and with an open mind, it's going to be hard to ever truly understand what's going on.
Yeah, Melanie, you were one that's always sharing to on your Facebook page, and you talk to, it seems like, people from all walks of life, and all education backgrounds. Do you think it's almost impossible to fully embrace what's taking place right now unless you've really been doing hours and hours and hours of research?
I think if we rely on the left brain and research and what we can prove, we're not going to know much of anything. So even before I came on this call today, I do meditations every day. I took some time to make sure I was feeling clear and right about my position on things. And it's a little frustrating because I'm getting so many question marks, but now I'm okay with that, because it just feels like, maybe we are dealing with multiple timelines and there's a lot of possibilities right now. So I think, if we're just going to rely on the left brain, we're not going to get very far. So we have to learn how to really trust our intuition, and to be okay with being wrong, and to be okay with people that think and look and act completely different than us, and be okay with their perspective, and take a deep breath when we feel a little triggered or that cognitive dissonance. And the more we can allow ourselves to absorb the information from a variety of perspectives, the wiser we'll get. And I say this all the time, I see a framework emerging, and I feel good about my framework. It's supported by all these different political parties and different perspectives. The framework seems to be consistent. Now the details, where is Julian, all these things, those are challenging. But I think we all need to get on board with developing a pretty solid framework so we can see who these criminals and who is behind the dark forces that are suppressing humanity.
Yeah, and it's funny because it seems like the only way to fully embrace this framework is to do your own spiritual work within inside of you, because it's all related. And the only way to really even have a grasp of and conceptualize what's taking place, you have to expand the inside of yourself in order to take that on. And I think again, the interconnectedness of it's a wild trip, if you ask me.
It is. And it goes back to, where is authority? What is authority? And is it us or is it outside of us? And we've been conditioned and programmed to think of authority as always been outside of us, our teachers, our bosses, etc. And so that's the shift that needs to take place, is we are our own authority, and how we do that is what we need to figure out and then teach, because the younger generations, we can program them differently so we can create a better world.
Yeah, and in that structural lattice that you kind of were talking about, Melanie, Julian Assange actually is a main character in this whole thing, and he plays almost this archetype, And Josh, how do you think when all is said and done, 20 years from now, how do we view Julian Assange? How does he go down in the record books? I mean, is he on the Mount Rushmore, basically, of the new America?
I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, right now in time, people forget things fast, and that's why the media operates the way they do. I mean, like we don't hear anything about the Vegas shooting or any of the false flags that have happened, or anytime facts come out and it totally disrupts the narrative at hand, we just kind of stop hearing about that narrative unless they can gather some more breadcrumbs to try and bring it back to the surface. So I couldn't tell you. Maybe he'll be a thing for the moment, and maybe there'll be something greater. I know at the moment he's a face that is willing to release information and has released information that definitely disrupts the narratives that are being pushed.
Melanie, do you think he'll go down as someone who's known as standing up to the biggest bullies in the whole world?
I sure hope so. A big part of me hopes he is who I think he is. But just with my life experience, with some of like my upbringing and people I've trusted, I mean, we've all trusted people and have been excited about people only to be disappointed. And I just think we need to keep that space open in case something is completely not as it seems with him. But yeah, if he is who I think he is and who I hope he is, then he's going to be very well known and hopefully well documented in the history books as being somebody that valued truth regardless of the time period and regardless of the danger and all the things that are very challenging that he has to deal with because of that. Just loyal to truth. And that kind of integrity is so rare. And so that is amazing. And I hope he is who I think he is.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to any famous person in history. On some level, it doesn't really even matter if they exist, even just what they represent to you in your world. I mean, chances are none of us will ever even meet Julian Assange or Donald Trump or any of these characters that we talk about. Yeah, and especially the brave ones. And from all evidence is that Julian Assange is one of the brave ones. And like you said, if it's true, it seems like he's going to go down as someone who was a major player in helping free humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that you use the word archetype because he represents integrity and he represents like this part of us that we haven't seen much, and we certainly haven't seen in Hollywood or in real politics, and so we just need to see more archetypes like that, people that represent being good to women or being good to children, or all these things. Like we really need these stars to come up and shine, and I think he represents integrity, and that's really exciting.
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
Yeah.